All right, so next is fiver. Is it a fiver? Yeah. Temperance. Life will not go well. The horror show. That which must be born. And the feast of hopeful. Temperance is our ability to control our consumption, to use fortitude, to actually say, no, I will not have another cookie. Yes, I will get up and I'll go walk 5 miles. No, I won't. I won't goof off at work. Yes, I will. I will be a good man. Take the hard road and try to make the world a better place. All these things, right? This is temperance. It's a good skill to have, and it's going to be helpful when we face down the difficult days of life and the difficult hours of life, when we can control how we react to it, maintaining a more stoic countenance and disposition. The second part of this is life will not go well, and it ain't going to go well. Days are going to come that are going to be really hard. We're going to wake up and say, God damn, I don't want to do this day, but you got to do it anyway, especially if you're an adult. Especially if you want to live well and you want to have a virtuous life, right? You got to do your dues, pay your dues, and do your work, right? And days aren't going to go well. The bullseye aim. We're going to shoot for the mark and we're going to miss. I'm going to try to get to work by 7 o'clock. I'll get there by 7:05. Damn it. Damn traffic. I'm going to go to a meeting. I'm going to try to hit 5 items on my agenda. I'm going to forget the 5th one, right? Etc., etc. It goes on and on and on. Life is not going to go well. It's entropy creeping in and making a muck of it all. The horror show is when things don't go well to catastrophic, horrifying consequences, right? I can begin to provide examples, although it really hurts me to do so. It's so hard to do. It makes me friggin' cuss. It literally draws 4-letter words out of my mind. For example, let's imagine, and like I said, this is a strictly Stoic exercise. No, not strictly, but it is a Stoic exercise. I'm going to say some stuff now that is going to sound horrible, because remember, this is the horror show. This is the time to think about that which is so extreme that it bears not even being spoken, but it's coming. Maybe not the examples that I'm going to say just now, but it's coming one way or another, if only to be our sudden catastrophic death, like what happened to my father when he had his sudden heart attack. And sure, it only lasted for seconds, but it was the horror show arriving in spades, death standing over his shoulder. Now there's someone else on the website from Japan. Hey, someone on my website from Japan. Now the thing is, what if my daughter was raped today? She lives in the dorms. And I did notice, no, I won't say that's particular because it gives too many details away. I did notice something dangerous that I told her about, and I made sure that she had maintenance fix it. But let's say she hadn't done that, and she was raped. That's a pretty horrifying thing. What if I get in a motorcycle accident on my way to work today, and someone rams me from behind, snaps my back, and I'm paralyzed from the neck down? That's a pretty horrifying thing. Can't take care of my family. Who's going to take care of me? I mean, someone's going to have to take care of me. You begin to cascade down all the chain of things, right? Why couldn't I just have died instead, right? What if little Rudy here runs out in the street? I mean, he's never off a leash, but let's say he did get off a leash and runs out in the street and gets run over by a car, but doesn't die. Just whining and crying there in the street with his crushed body. None of these things are really evoking this stuff. I'm not going to the bad stuff. I mean, there's bad stuff that I can say, and I've done it in a couple of videos, and it makes me say, because it hurts to say those things. I mean, these are bad things. I mean, my daughter getting raped, me having a motorcycle accident, Rudy getting run over. These are all terrible things. Maybe they seem too pedestrian and average. Not that rape and accident and crushing are average. You get the point, right? Though this stuff is happening. It's going to happen. It's happening up and down the street that I live in right now. There's probably 30 houses here, and probably a good good, 5 or 10 of them have horrifying things going on right now. Maybe they're lost their jobs and they're about to get kicked out of their house and become homeless or something like that. I don't know. You get the point. So the purpose of this principle that I've spent so long on it is that by daily remembrance and reminder of that, I can then use stoic apathy to prepare myself for what's coming. For example, with my daughter's situation, stoicism would ask me to ask myself, why did I think that my daughter was immune to that type of vulnerability and that fact? And isn't it the fact that women are vulnerable, and men are too, to that type of an experience, and that it happens? And it tempers it. It doesn't take the pain away, but it tempers my reaction to it. It's like it is one of these things that unfolds in the universe, right? Not fated, not destiny, but a fact that these things happen, right? Likewise with my automobile accident, and likewise with Rudy. Now this can have the positive effect of then causing me to take due caution, right? For example, making sure, call my daughter up and say, "Did you?" And which I already did. Did you have the maintenance take care of that thing I told you about, which I thought led to a vulnerability? And she did indeed do that. Now maybe it's because I do these Stoic exercises, right? I think about it. It causes me to take that effort and caution. It could be the fact, or maybe it's just my nature. And with regard to the motorcycle, do I not tell myself that you could have an accident? And do I not accept that that is a risk and isn't also something that I'm planning to get rid of the bike within a reasonable amount of time? I think I've kind of pushed that risk far enough, so it's accepted risk. And likewise with Rudy, I take extra caution. I do not allow the dogs out the door without having their leash on and leash in my hand. So on and on and on. So I've talked a long time about this one. This is temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be borne. We have to bear the fact of life will not go well and the fact of the horror show. We have to carry it, born with an E. We have to bear it, right? And we use temperance, fortitude, stoic exercises of imagining the circumstances and how we would react to them from a stoic perspective, of recognizing where to apply indifference. And where does that belong? Indifference belongs to everything that is outside of the control of our fortitude, our mind, our will. Back with will, right? You can't escape these terms, right? But even though I don't think it may be mine, I do think that I can exercise fortitude to make decisions and use temperance to control my consumption of life. And in so being, I can then use apathy, stoic apathy, to see what is outside of the realm of my control. And what is outside of the realm of my control? Everything beyond my choices, my decision-making ability. Is a rapist breaking into my daughter's room beyond my decision-making ability? It is, to the extent that I've done everything I can to try to ensure that her room is safe. Is the fact of me getting banged in from this back on a motorcycle and in the traffic jam in the freeway beyond my scope of ability? It is beyond my ability to it is quite beyond my ability when you come to that stop. Although I do things as a motorcyclist to exercise to keep my bike in such a way that I can slide up between the cars if I see a car coming fast. But still, it is beyond my control. I can't steer that car or apply the brakes to the car behind me. Is it beyond my control? Beyond my ability. If Rudy was to escape and get run over, it is beyond the scope of my control there. But I do every exercise I can to avoid and prevent that circumstance. And then the last one is what was it? The feast of offal. Offal being the waste and byproduct of the butcher's art. Toenails, hair, skin and fat and bones that butchers don't use to sell directly, but they can grind up into sausage, right? Using the waste. It's waste. The waste of our intemperate, undisciplined, non-stoic life is the upset that we feel that bubbles up. Now we can feel the upset. That's one thing. Letting it bubble up and infect others through our expression, that's quite another thing. So I use stoic temperance and apathy, the recognition of what I am indifferent to, to prevent myself from making a spectacle of myself and hurting my family and my associates by in my undisciplined expressions. I don't blow up anymore. I did when I was, not a lot, but I did when I was in my 20s and 30s, more so in my 30s. Young family man. It's hard being a young father. And I was never violent or anything like that, but I would, blow up in my wife, and to a degree, my daughter even saw it too when she was young enough before I finally got a handle on it. And I wasn't violent, but I would get upset, right? It's like, things that, the traditional thing about dad getting upset, losing his temper, because, he can't find his hammer, which is really an expression of other types of upset. I did that too in my 30s, and I largely got it under control in my 40s, and now it doesn't show up anymore. If anything, it's just barely trickles, and I see it, and I jump on top of it and squelch it down. Whew. Took a long time though. That's the feast of ovum, is that upset that bubbles up, and we share it with others and infect them in the process. It's also when we choose to apply attention and consume the feast that others are giving out. Kind of a voyeuristic, unclean thing. Okay, that's that.